Welcome back to another episode of Grandpa's Garage. I'm going to be working on a couple of things today. Grease seals, axle seals, and wheel bearings. What I'm just using is just a generic brand of Varsol. So what we're going to do is just going to put all the parts that I'm going to clean into the Varsol. Okay, so we've got the two bearings in there. Got the nut that adjusts them in the preload. We have the lock ring. Then there are the two small screws that hold the lock ring, plus the bolts that bolt the axle in. Just throw them all in there. Now to clean it well, you want to have a stiff brush. This is a parts cleaning brush. They're really cheap. You can buy them at any automotive shop. Just swish the parts around a little bit. And I usually start with the simplest stuff, which in our case here will be the bolts and screws. And sometimes I'll even take these to a wire grinder, a wire wheel on a grinder, if the threads are really dirty. These ones aren't, so they're not too bad. So I just give it a quick rub, scrub with the brush, shake the excess off. And while I'm doing this, I'm not just cleaning them, I'm watching and looking for damage to them, damaged threads. Next I'll do the two little screws, and these are kind of hard to hold on to, so what I usually do is I just stick them in the palm of my hand and then just make a cup and put the brush in there, and just, you can see them, and I just wiggle them around, and once again shake them off. This piece, you still want it cleaned, and you want to inspect it as you're cleaning it, or when you're done cleaning it. So, and because of these holes are going to hold grease, you kind of do it with a stabbing motion, and the bristles of the brush will go through the holes. So you kind of stab at it and rotate it in your hands. Keep working it. Now by doing it from the first side, I'm knocking the grease out to the other side. And when I turn it over, most of it's gone. But if there is any left, those holes are now coated with Varsol. So as I wipe it off here, it's less likely that I'll push a piece of grease back in and have it stick in one of these holes. Now we're getting into parts that we got to inspect a little closer, because this one has internal threads. Also want to look at the holes. And again, with the holes, do the stabbing motion. I want to make sure it's good and clean. And I give it a little shake in the Varsol. Kind of works like a rinse. Shake off the excess, and now I'm going to take a look at it. Looking at the threads in here to see if there are any that are damaged, showing any damage or anything. There's also threads in two of the holes here from where those screws go in. There's one on this side and there's one on the opposite side. So you'll notice also one edge is beveled and one edge isn't. On one like this, you want to put the bearing against the beveled edge. Now, when I was starting to take these apart, I mentioned bearing preload, and that some guys say that you have to have preload, which is putting the bearings under a slight tension. Some mechanics say you don't put any preload. I firmly believe in preload, and I'm going to show you why. One thing that can happen if you undo them a little bit to have some free play. If you look on here, this surface is galled and damaged. That's from the bearing up against here having some movement and kind of rattling around in there. So if it's moving and able to touch this a little bit, it's not going to be perfect in the bore. It's going to be moving, and so you're not getting a good surface-to-surface contact. So I don't believe in having the bearings loose. I believe in having just a slight tension on them. Some people say it's to allow the bearings to expand. Well, yes, the bearings do expand when they get warmer, but so do the cups, so does the hub. Everything expands a little bit, but that's damage that is as a result of the bearing not having preload. Now, to clean the bearings, I want to be very careful to get all the grease out from the inside here, in between the inner and outer parts of the bearings. The outer part is a cage that just holds these roller bearings in space, proper spacing. So, again, I'm doing a stabbing motion, which is going in between the rollers, which you can see in there. And that's to try and drive the grease out. I'm doing a stab and a push, or a stab and a bit of a flick, or a flick. And I just keep working my way around, and if you notice, my hand is just gradually rotating the bearing. And as I'm doing it, part of the brush is actually going and hitting the outside of the bearings. So I'm actually starting to clean the outside at the same time. So I'll just very carefully keep going around and around. And if you look at the bottom side, you can see there's still a little bit of grease in there, but it is, you can see light. So I am getting through there. So I'm going to keep working at it from the top just a little bit more. And then flip it over, and I'm going to do the bottom side. And then I'll just put it in the bucket, shake it around, kind of like a rinse. I'm not going to bother drying them. Normally when I dry bearings, I will use compressed air. But with a bearing like this, you have to be careful with compressed air. If you blow on it this way, this will start to spin, and you can get this up to such speeds that this metal cage will fail, and it'll be like a hand grenade. These things will fly everywhere, and if it happens to hit you, it's going to do damage. You want to blow across the bearing. You want to blow through the holes to get the old grease and the solvent out. If you are blowing that way, keep if I do that, I put a thumb on here and I can regulate whether the air is moving these or not. If it starts to move too fast, all I do is squeeze a bit harder and it'll stop it. Now once I've got it all clean, I look at the bearing very carefully to look for damage on each of those rollers. I don't just look at one or two of them, I make a quick round and go through all of them. And if you do have damage, you'll see it. It'll usually show up quite easily. So this bearing looks good. I also feel how it feels. Give it a spin. It rolls good. There is a little bit of play in there because there's no load on it. This is the inner bearing, and if you take note, a little bit of discoloration or rust or that doesn't come off, but that was from likely caused from a very slight vibration and a bit of heat. The next thing that has to be done for cleaning is the hub. Next, I'm going to start cleaning inside here. There are holes here that the bolts were in, and they don't go all the way through, so they're going to get filled with Varsol and whatever else you're cleaning. That's why I'm doing it this way first, because when I flip it over, that Varsol is going to drain out. So then I start cleaning inside the hub here. And I'm cleaning very thoroughly. You can see there's crap in there, and as I clean it, so everything that's in there is gradually draining down and dripping back into the bucket. Now on this style of hub that has grease in it, you can see there's a little indent here between this bearing race and the bearing race on the far side. This is a reservoir to put grease into, and it allows for the grease, having extra grease in there, and as the grease expands and gets warmer, it will help to kind of like a little surplus. I'll flip the hub over. Work on the other side, and starting with a little flange here. If you notice, there's two flanges. So the side of the drum comes out, goes in, comes out, and then you have the surface here that the brake lining is on. Two flanges here. The brake lining, or the place where the brake lining is here, would actually go inside here. The slot that was in the drum will be on over this area, and the outer one on the drum will go in this area. So what it's doing is creating a water, like a barrier, so any moisture would have to actually come from here, come in and outward, then back in, and then back that way before it gets into the brakes. You don't have to be really gentle, because this is steel, cast iron. You're not going to hurt it with a brush like this. And then this is the dust seal that kind of protects the seal. So I'm cleaning that as well. I'll take the hub, turn it, drain as much of the Varsol off as I can. Hub down on top of the rag. This is an item that you could blow dry with an air hose. I'm giving a good wipe first of all into this area, and remember that this shield is sharp, so you got to be careful. And I'm just basically drying the surface where the bearing rides, and just kind of getting the most of the Varsol off and whatever else there was. Drum's clean. Hub was wiped off, as well as inside of the axle shaft here. And like I said, clean rag, clean parts. The next step to do is to repack them. What you're actually talking about is packing fresh grease in to lubricate the bearings. You want to get fresh grease in there to lubricate the bearings, and you actually don't just wipe around the outside. You actually have to work it through. But I'll show you that in a future video. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. I'd appreciate it. And thanks for watching, and have a good one.